We are going to let folks connect to the audio. Give everybody a second for that.
Recording in progress.
Love that. Thank you, Kayla, for recording. All right. If everybody can go ahead and put your microphones on mute, that would be great. There are a lot of us in this meeting. And it helps to keep that audio clear. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some housekeeping tips. There we go. All right. Now I will start with some stuff. So good morning, everybody. We're so happy that you all were able to join us for this third meeting. We hope you guys had a great start to the week yesterday. So before Erica introduces our wonderful and fabulous speaker and we get started, I'm just going to remind everybody of some general housekeeping tips and announcements. So first one, if you guys could go ahead and put your name and your program in the chat, please, that would be great. So for example, for me, it would look like Georgia Ellard, UAB. So if you could do that for your chat or for in the chat, that would be really helpful. Additionally, like I said a second ago, please keep your mics on mute unless you're unmuting to ask a question or participate in the discussion, which we love. There are a lot of us on the call right now, so it helps to keep the audio clear for others. On the flip side of that, if you have the ability to turn your cameras on and you're comfortable doing so, please go ahead and turn those cameras on. It can get a little lonely talking to little black boxes, so it's nice to see a friendly face. And then finally, our speaker, as she goes through their presentation today, please go ahead and jot down any questions that you might have throughout so that you can ask after they're finished. We love a good solid Q&A session, so just keep those questions in mind as we go throughout the presentation. So that's it as far as housekeeping goes. The only announcement that I have is Kate Norman, which is the VISTA leader for the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits. She's hosting office hours on March 20th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time to talk about the Siegel Education Award and other VISTA-related money topics. If you are interested in joining, it's going to be more of a peer-to-peer opportunity, which is great, versus these professional development sessions, which there's always not a lot of time to talk to each other. So that topic was on the docket for today, and they have graciously offered to host a separate session just to kind of give it the time that it deserves. So if you haven't already received that information, it should be headed your way shortly, and we can get the links to join and all of that out to you. So if any of our other sponsors have any announcements they'd like to make.
I do not have any.
Okay, I think we're good. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Erica to introduce our fabulous speaker.
Great. Thank you, Georgia. So yes, for this session on tribal food insecurity, we're joined by our guest speaker, Feather Sprengeler, who works for First Things First as the regional director of the White Mountain Apache region. So Feather, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Erica. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. And do you see my notes on bottom? Because I see my notes on bottom. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Does it look okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for having me. Today I'll be presenting a little bit about myself because I see a lot of new faces here as well. I recognize one. Hello, Tristan. It's good to see you. Like Erica said, I'm Feather Sprengeler and I work with First Things First. So I'll also be talking a little bit about First Things First, and then I'll share some information that the White Mountain Apache Children Food Security Committee had gathered and what we're doing in our community. I'd like to mention that I'm by no means an expert in food insecurity, but I'm so thankful to be able to present to you efforts that are being done within my reservation. Okay, so who am I? I'll introduce myself in Apache first. Dagot she Feather Sprengeler gonze, zithligai si ananden shli, diskaden shli, dijan banishti. First things first, you Naizik, regional director in Schliet. So I said, hello, and how are you? I hope you're all doing well. My name's Feather Sprengeler, and I am a member of the White Mountain Apache Tribe. My clan is Cottonwood Standing Tree people, and I am also San Carlos Apache from my dad. And I work with First Things First as the regional director for White Mountain Apache Tribe in Arizona. I am an alumni of Northern Arizona University. I graduated in 2013 with a bachelor's degree in public health. And after finishing there, I did go back to my reservation and worked with the Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health, doing research and hanging out with the youth within our reservation. And then I was also given the opportunity to apply for First Things First. And I've learned so much. I've been there since 2019 and really learning about my community even more and thinking of ways how we could help our children birth to 5. On the left side, you'll see my little dog. Her name's Jojo, and we've rescued her a few years ago. And then on the right side, you'll see my daughter, Emma, and Emma calls Jojo her little sister. And Emma is with her dad, Malcolm. And in Arizona, we like to hang out by the river. In our reservation, we're fortunate enough to have desert to tall pines. So we're always outside, whether we're grilling or fishing, hiking. So for sure, when the weather warms up here pretty soon, you'll find us by the water. And here's pictures I wanted to share of my reservation. On the left side is the Salt River Canyon. This is the lowest part of our reservation, so you can see the desert. And then on the right side is the Sunrise Ski Resort. And this is one of the highest parts of our reservation. And right now it does look like this. They probably have even more snow now because last week they got a couple more feet of snow. With First Things First, we work with 19 of the 22 tribes in Arizona. So we like to acknowledge that Arizona is founded on the ancestral lands of its tribes, nations, and indigenous peoples, and recognizes their interconnectedness to the land and environment. We honor the past, present, and future generations of indigenous people. First Things First work is rooted in a profound respect for tribal sovereignty and a commitment to continue to work in collaboration with Arizona's tribes to support the development, well-being, health, and education of young children and families in tribal communities and throughout the state. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Today, I am speaking to you from Mesa, Arizona, and would like to recognize the O'odham and Hohokam and Peepash people who have stewarded this land since time immemorial. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. We are grateful and appreciative to those whose territory we reside and work on today. So this is a question for you all. And you could, I don't mind if you all unmute yourself because I can't see the chat either. Or Erica, maybe you can tell me what people put in the chat. So my question to you is, what is our vision for our communities? And Erica, if you don't mind letting me know what people put in there.
Will do.
So what words come to mind when you think of the community you want to live in?
Accessibility from Theo. Healthy food from Becca. Equitable from Sarah. Safe from Elliot. Fight food insecurity. Safety and living with dignity. Inclusivity. Accessibility again. Security. To eliminate poverty in every capacity that has a need. And connected. Diverse. Still having some come in.
Okay. Those are all really great answers.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, those are all really great answers. And what I have here are healthy children, successful students, and thriving communities. So I believe those all tie in to this, and then what you all answered, of course, is what ties into what we vision for our communities. And part of First Things First is we believe all of this is rooted in early childhood. For us, all of these contribute to the communities we want to live in. And it all starts within the early years. I'm going to show a short video that speaks to why achieving this vision lies in the earliest years.
From day one, babies are born learning. Their brains are growing and developing at an amazing rate. In the first 5 years, faster than any other time in life. And how a child's brain develops in these early years will have a huge and lasting impact on their future. At birth, a baby brain is only a quarter of the size of an adult brain, but will double in size during the first year. By age 3, it will grow to almost 80% of adult size, and 90% by the time a child starts kindergarten. And while the brain is growing in size, it's also forming billions of connections. These connections between brain cells are what really make the brain work. And as the child grows and develops, the brain cells connect with each other in more complex ways. Different areas are responsible for different abilities, but they're all interconnected. They all contribute to the child's overall health and well-being. These early brain connections set the stage for higher level skills to develop later on, like motivation, focus, problem solving, and getting along with others. Things that really make a difference in a person's ability to learn and do well in school and in life.
Okay, so the reality is that too many of Arizona's children, young children, face challenges that threaten their healthy development and learning. Compared nationally, we have higher child poverty, and fewer of our children attend preschool, and even fewer are receiving the needed screenings. We do have an opportunity to better serve children across the entire state of Arizona. Compared to the White Mountain Apache Tribe, about 51% of children birth to 5 do live in poverty. Altogether, we have childcare centers that can only serve a quarter, maybe even less than a quarter of children birth to 5. And we do have children that do get screenings, but again, a small percentage of those do follow through with the referrals that are made to their families. And brain connections built during the first 5 years impact all aspects of a child's ability to learn and develop skills that impact their future. Years of research shows that focusing on children's early years can result in positive long-term outcomes, such as increased kindergarten readiness, higher high school graduation rates, a better prepared workforce, and fewer school absences. Likewise, a focus on prevention in the early years benefits the community and a reduced need for costly intervention later. Donna Faye Whitesinger is a volunteer of the White Mountain Apache Regional Partnership Council, and she shares why she supports early childhood. She said, as a member of the White Mountain Apache community, I support early childhood because it's an investment in our future. When we help build strong, healthy children, they will raise strong, healthy families who will build strong, healthy communities. And that's why Arizona created First Things First. I'm going to share another video of how First Things First was created.
The evidence is clear. Positive, nurturing experiences in their early years help children feel safe and secure and go on to be healthier and more successful in school and in life. They tend to have better language, math, and social skills. They're more likely to graduate. They're more prepared for college and career, and to be contributing members of their communities. And that's why Arizonans created First Things First, to partner with families and communities to support the health, development, and learning of our state's youngest children. First Things First supports programs focused on strengthening families, quality early education, and preventive health for children from birth to age 5. Because we all share the responsibility of giving our children a good start in life, And we all benefit when kids arrive at kindergarten healthy and ready to succeed.
When voters created First Things First in 2006 to increase and enhance children's ability to enter school healthy and ready to succeed, the focus was placed on local decision-making and using funds to support children and families in three main areas. One of those is healthy development, quality early learning, and building strong families. First Things First does have 28 regional partnership councils across the state, which represent the diverse communities. So in urban, rural, and tribal communities across Arizona, each regional partnership council does have 11 volunteers who are from their community, and they govern the decision for funding and programming that best serves the needs of children birth to 5 in their communities. We work through partners and organizations in local communities to support the healthy development and learning of Arizona's young children. Through our regional councils, we provide grants to local organizations and partners dedicated to serving children across a wide variety of developmental needs. Programs funded by First Things First are based in research, evidence, and best practice, and they are voluntary, available at no cost to families, and are provided in a variety of settings. The statute that created First Things First does recognize the 22 federally recognized tribes and nations in Arizona. Honoring sovereignty, each tribe was consulted to determine how they would like to participate in First Things First. The statute also requires that every 2 years we reach out to tribes to see if they wish to continue participating in First Things First and whether they want to participate as their own region or as part of counties within their communities. Right now, we have 19 tribes that participate with First Things First. 10 of those tribes participate as their own separate region, with the remaining being nested within a region. We also host tribal consultations, inviting all tribal leadership to attend those consultations. And if they are not able to attend, we do send what is being proposed within those consultations and see if they would like to write back any comments. And we've also gained insight from past consultations that led to actual policy, practice, and process improvements to ensure that the best possible outcomes for young children are happening in our communities. Sorry. We do have tribal affairs within First Things First, and it's staffed by a senior director and a tribal liaison. There are different cultural relations that tribal affairs does, so they help build awareness in tribal communities among the early childhood system partners and facilitate the provision of culturally appropriate early childhood services in tribal communities. In addition, they work to strengthen organizational relationships with tribal partners, such as ITCA, which is the Intertribal Council of Arizona, the Bureau of Indian Education, and the Indian Health Services, to ensure that we have working relationships necessary to enhance each other's work. Within First Things First, Tribal Affairs also advises our officials in tribal our officials, like our state board members, with tribal perspectives on policies that First Things First is proposing, and also provides different recommendations to programs and funding initiatives that may impact tribes. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit on why we fund certain things. A large part of our work is improving the quality of childcare environments. We know that the positive nurturing relationships young children have with adults shape their learning now and throughout their lives. For the majority of our kids, all adults are working, and childcare is an essential need. Research shows that quality early learning settings help young children develop important skills like motivation, self-control, focus, and getting along with others. That makes a big difference in their ability to succeed in school and in life. Because of this, First Things First did create its signature program. It's called Quality First, and it's to partner with childcare providers and preschools in Arizona to improve the quality of the early learning setting. Last year, more than 60,000 children across the state were in Quality First programs. And you can see here the number and percentage of Quality First participants that meet or exceed quality standards. So we do have a rating system on where childcare centers stand from low quality or to exceeding quality. In White Mountain Apache, all of our childcare centers are enrolled in Quality First. So their centers receive coaching and incentives, and their staff do get evaluated and assessed to see how well they're teaching the children and what the environment looks like. We also believe that families are their child's first teacher. Kids who have positive, stable relationships with parents and caregivers go on to do better in school and in life. We partner with families and communities to support healthy development and learning of Arizona's young children by funding programs that support parents and caregivers in the critical role. Our funded programs give parents choices when it comes to supporting their child's health and learning. Services are provided in ways that meet families where they are at, from community-based parenting classes to in-home visiting to address tough decisions. In our region, we do have several partners providing support to families. We have Parenting Counts, which is through the Summit Healthcare Association, and they meet in 3 different communities within our region, providing brain development, the importance of brain development to families, as well as what activities families can do at home. And we have Parents as Teachers. The parent educators within this program visit families at their home and provide different screenings that the family might request, or if they have any type of concern about their child development, they help give the family tools to support their children. We also have Kith and Kin, which is a family friend and neighbor caregiver training. A lot of our children have grandmas, grandpas, and aunties and uncles at home taking care of them since we have limited childcare. So this Kith and Kin program provides support to those caregivers to have quality care in the home. The needs of children vary and kids develop at different stages. However, undetected and untreated health issues can impact learning later in life. Left unaddressed, developmental delays and chronic medical conditions can become serious learning problems that require more costly remediation and are linked to school performance. Through our partnerships, First Things First focuses on addressing health challenges facing young children in Arizona, challenges that threaten their well-being today and their school success tomorrow. Across the state, we fund preventative screenings to detect oral health. That's one of the main reasons children are absent from school, and referrals to existing health services to ensure that kids arrive at kindergarten healthy, and parent education and resource services such as helplines and resource centers to support any caregiver of children birth to 5 with common and difficult health-related questions. Prevention and early intervention are key to supporting the whole child to develop and be prepared for a lifetime of learning. Within the White Mountain Apache Tribe, we do have the Birth to 5 helpline, which is free and available to families to call and ask any question that they want. I remember when Emma was little, I called this helpline because I wasn't sure how much she should be eating. So I called and I was able to talk to a nurse and ask my question of how much should my little, I believe she was like almost a year old, how much should she be eating? And they were able to help me and said that everything was normal because I thought she was eating too much. So as you can see, supporting kids with tools they need in their earliest years is critical to building the future we want to see for Arizona. We all benefit when children arrive to kindergarten ready to learn. So I shared with you all information about the work First Things First does and what we're funding within our region, within the White Mountain Apache Tribe region, but I didn't share information with you all about food security. And that's why we're all here, to learn about food insecurity. The White Mountain Apache Regional Partnership Council is given a certain amount of funding, and they do strategic planning and prioritizing to see what's the greatest need within our region and how could we address that need. We all know that food insecurity is a need within our region, but the Regional Partnership Council saw, especially like children with developmental concerns, as one of the biggest needs in our region. So we do some unfunded work and funded work. So currently, First Things First works with the Arizona Food Bank Network to support food security. Or we partner with them, we collaborate with them. So Arizona Food Bank Network, in partnership with No Kid Hungry, partnered to implement a project to identify the root causes of child food insecurity in tribal nations, with hopes that the preliminary work would provide a framework for other tribal communities to utilize. Outreach was made to the White Mountain Apache Tribe, and we were able to create the committee, which is called Chigasha Bidan Sinet. When it's translated into English, it means children getting good food or having good food. So I'll share information about the committee. We do have a cross-sector leadership, and we were thinking, who could we invite to be part of this committee? So of course, Arizona Food Bank Network, First Things First. We also have the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension. We have the director from Division of Health Programs that also participates. We have a couple of tribal organizations that are present as well, like the WIC program director. We have the food distribution program. We also have tribal social services who are participating in our committee as well. And we have Indebikia, which is the People's Farm, and the Boys and Girls Club of the White Mountain Apache Tribe that participate as well. So what is food insecurity? The definition that we used within our committee is a person is food insecure when they lack regular access to enough safe and nutritious food for normal growth and development and an active and healthy life. This may be due to unavailability of food and our lack of resources to attain food. Food insecurity can be experienced at different levels of severity. So you can see the chart here. Food insecurity to mild food insecurity could be considered as uncertainty regarding ability to attain food. And then severe insecurity is when a person has run out of food, they have no food for the day, and they've gone maybe an entire day without eating. So what is child food insecurity and why is it important? 1 in 6 children in the United States live in food insecure households. Food insecurity, even marginal food insecurity, is detrimental to children's health and well-being. For example, food insecurity can lead to poor health status, developmental risk, mental health problems, and poor educational outcomes, which leads to lower earning potential over the duration of their life. Child hunger is a health problem. Hungry children are sick more often and more likely to have to be hospitalized. Hungry children suffer growth impairment that precludes their reaching their full physical potential. Child hunger is an educational problem. Hungry children incur developmental impairments that limit their physical, intellectual, and emotional development. Hungry children ages birth to 3 years cannot learn as much, as fast, or as well because chronic undernutrition harms their cognitive development during this critical period of rapid brain growth, actually changing the foundational neurological architecture of the brain and central nervous system. Hungry children do more poorly in school and have lower academic achievement because they are not well prepared for school and cannot concentrate. Child hunger is also a workforce and job readiness problem. Hungry children have more social and behavioral problems because they feel bad, have less energy for complex social interactions, and cannot adapt as effectively to environmental stresses. And workers who experience hunger as children are not as well prepared physically, mentally, emotionally, or socially to perform effectively in the contemporary workforce. Within our committee, we did create a vision and identity statement to help guide the work that we do. And our vision statement was to build a foundation that increases food security and access to healthy food for White Mountain Apache children. Our identity statement is we are a collaboration of community leaders, members, and partners to address White Mountain Apache children food needs in culturally responsive ways. Since the Chigasha Bidansi Net was created, we did have a food assessment created, and we collected almost 400 surveys from the community to learn about child hunger. We also hosted 4 public community meetings to hear what the needs are, and we also held a strategic planning session to decide how to take action. The assessment was a community-driven project that integrates Indigenous knowledge and values that is inherent to their lived experience and expertise. Arizona Food Bank Network did not collect or publish any of this data. Instead, it's been stored within the Division of Health program in our community. And the Arizona Food Bank Network supported and continues to support the committee in developing the root causes of food insecurity within our community. So we do have a couple of goals of the assessment. One was to uncover the root causes of child food insecurity, and then to develop solutions that address these causes and allow children facing hunger to have consistent access to healthy Apache food. We did use questions from the USDA Community Food Security Assessment Toolkit and also from the San Carlos Apache Child Food Insecurity Survey. And we had to go through several approvals to be able to do the work that we've done as a community. We had to present to the Tribal Health Advisory Board for approval. And upon that approval, we went to the White Mountain Apache Tribal Council for approval to be able to be out in the community and gather the information that we felt was needed to steer the direction of our committee. So I am going to share information of the survey results that we collected. So it's going to be a lot of graphs, and I'm sorry. So we asked different questions about food security. We asked how often were they worried about running out of food? So what we received was that most of the community members did sometimes worry or often worry about running out of food before having money to buy more. So meaning that over 79% of the respondents do face food insecurity, and sometimes are often were unable to get enough healthy food. And when we translated healthy food to community members, we did have Apache language translators translate this into fruits, vegetables, and lean meat. When we asked which of the following issues do you think is the most common problem facing people you know, almost 61% stated, or 61.1% stated that they can't afford enough food to last the entire month. And then 38.9% stated that they can't obtain enough healthy food. 87.5% of unemployed individuals said that they sometimes are often worried about running out of food, compared to 75.6% of employed individuals and 75.5% of retired individuals. Unemployed individuals were twice as likely to report they often worried about having enough food for the month. And unemployed individuals and retired individuals were more likely than employed individuals to report that they sometimes or often were unable to get enough healthy food. We do have several programs in our community. We have food banks, school and summer meals that most children qualify for. We have the WIC program, SNAP, food distribution program on Indian reservations and in Debikia. And when we asked which one were they aware of, most did have heard of food banks. And we think this is because of the pandemic. There was a lot of food distribution happening in the community. And then others did hear about the free school and summer meals that were happening in the community. 78% heard about SNAP, 77% heard about WIC, and 73% heard about the food distribution program on Indian reservations. Fewer people did use these resources though, with majority of people again using the food bank, and we think this is because of the pandemic. And then less people were using Indebikia.
Oh, Feather, we had one question in the chat if you'd like to take questions now or wait till later.
Sure, I can take it now.
One question is, were the respondents also on or off food assistance, or are these results also about access to food?
This was mostly about access to food. We didn't ask that question if they were on assistance or using any type of assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Employed individuals on average were aware of 5 of the programs listed. In contrast, unemployed individuals were aware about 4 of the programs listed, and retirees were aware about 3 of the programs that were listed. We did find that unemployed and retired respondents were less likely to be aware of available food resources than employed respondents.
We have another question, if you
Yeah.
What are the statistics of the quality of food communities receive?
Yeah. I'll actually get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get into it in a little bit, because after the data, after we got these surveys out and analyzed the data, as a committee, we thought that it wasn't enough. Like, we needed to know more, and we needed to know more of like how people feel about what's available in the community and how could we address food insecurity. So that's what led us to community meetings. We did receive a letter from the Health Advisory Board to have community meetings in our region, and they allowed us to get feedback from members and solutions for hunger issues. We held 4 altogether from December 2021 to March 2022. 3 of those were held over Zoom, and 1 we were fortunate enough to have held at Ndebikia. And the reason why they were held over Zoom was because our community was still closed because of the pandemic. The structure of the meeting was 90 minutes long, and in total, we had 24 people all together. We opened the meeting sharing the survey results, and then we asked them what they thought about the results. And we asked these questions. So think about the last meal you ate. Where was the food on your plate grown or made? What kind of food do you usually eat? Why do you eat that type of food? What might stop community members from buying and preparing nutritious food? And what can we do to help families get enough food? And the last question was, what can we do to help people eat healthier? So when we asked the first question of think of the last meal you ate, where was the food on your plate grown or made? Most of the members did say that they go off reservation to buy food. So here I have a map of our reservation, and you can see like in our community, we have Bashes and Ndebikia. And then on the left side, you see Sibiku. That's about 45 minutes to an hour away from White River. And they have a community complex which houses a little grocery store as well as the post office, and it's everything's there in that complex. From White River to Pine Top or Lakeside, which is off reservation, it's about a 30-minute drive, and they have more options for grocery shopping. So there's Safeway and Walmart that's in Show Low, and it's about the same distance from Sibiku to Show Low. It's about 45 minutes to an hour to make these trips. So we found like people did say that they do go off reservation to buy food. They shared that while they would prefer to go to Walmart more, with second being Safeway, and then Bash's was the one that they least preferred to go to. And the reasons was because Walmart was the cheapest place to shop, and people thought Bash's was too expensive and the food wasn't as good quality compared to what's available in Pine Top or Show Low. And they also shared that from Bash's, they would buy meat, and then some shared that they bought produce from the farm. And then another reason, like maybe not shopping locally, they would go to other places because of health concerns. And then another thing that was shared, which is interesting, was that they shared that using WIC, so the Women, Infant, and Children benefits that are given to women and children, was a lot easier to use at Bash's compared to using it at Walmart or Safeway.
And Feather, we had another question. I raised my hand, but I'm not sure if you see me.
I can't see anything.
Okay. Yeah. What stops more community buildings like I don't want to butcher this, Sibiku, I think, from being built?
I think a lot of it has to do with our water rights. And it's like that reservation wide. Like we can't have a car wash. We can't water our grass as often, our yards as often. And I believe it's because of our water. We're not able to build the infrastructure that we know we need in our region. I hope that answers it. And hopefully we get this solved soon. I know our tribe has been working and having a lot of meetings in DC to address this.
Thank you.
When we asked what kind of food do you usually eat and why do you eat that type of food, a lot of answers we got was that they cook quick meals, so like pasta and rice with a protein. Some also talked about using their crock pot to make meals and cooking comfort food, so cooking what you know. And some eat out once a week. There was concerns about diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol. That was mentioned numerous times, and how eating healthy, or they know that eating healthy is important. And this was a wake-up call to some of them. So they requested, like, we do need to learn to eat better, but it's not easy. Others shared that children like popcorn and fruits and vegetables. And children also like pasta and rice and bread. And again, they go for what's easy and maybe what another family member made. A lot of our families live in multi-generation households, so it could be one family member making meals for everybody, and maybe it's not what they would ideally like to eat, but it's what's there and what's available. And then there was answers of having struggles with bread, so eating white bread, or I have pictures here of tortillas, fry bread, and ash bread. That's a struggle with families. We asked what might stop community members from buying and preparing nutritious food. Some of the responses that we got was taste, quantity, and price. People would prefer quantity over quality, again, to be able to feed the whole family. But most should try to go for quality over quantity. Price was another answer that we got. So going for the cheapest option that's available. Again, thinking about income, organic food does cost more. And then people buying food out of survival. So being able, again, to feed the whole family. Thinking about food preparation, using one pot method, trying to use different vegetables. People do receive, some people do receive health food benefits, so like SNAP and WIC, or the food distribution program on Indian reservations. So then they also thought, like, if they did buy the healthiest options that are available, they would run out of their benefits quickly. And then people who don't receive benefits, they did share, like, they're still struggling paycheck to paycheck to be able to support their family. There was responses of being a model for children, so eating healthier so children can learn to eat healthier as well. And then again, the number of people within a family could impact this, and you can't please everybody in the household.
Heather, we have two other questions. If you don't
Okay.
mind. One, with a sugar-driven industry, how do we direct grocers, gas stations, etc., to balance what is purchased? Does the community have a say-so in this?
Yeah, and that we asked, that actually came up too, which I'll share later, but the one thought was, why don't we do what Navajo Nation did, which is a junk food tax? So again, going to probably tribal council and getting approval to have taxes on junk food that could help limit the amount of sugar that we're eating and fats and everything. So that did come up. And I think to do this, we're going to have to look at what Navajo Nation did and try to follow what they did.
Mm-hmm. The second question is, are there issues with those who have dietary restrictions and money-wise with that?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I know, like, we did have people participate in these community meetings that did share diet restrictions, and that they do go off reservation and maybe off the mountain and go to Flagstaff or Phoenix to buy the specific foods that they need to support their diet. What was the second question? Income?
Yeah, money-wise.
Yeah, income. Again, a lot of people did share, like, they, even if they do have a job and maybe they have food benefits, they're still struggling. And I think it's just the number of people within a family that's why.
Okay, and we did have one, our third one just pop up in relation to that, is how common are diet restrictions on reservations?
I don't think it's as common as we might think. I know, like, Native Americans in general are lactose intolerant, but besides lactose intolerance, I really don't hear much else. I don't know if there's awareness of what diet restrictions are and what the needs are within the community. Again, people are just thinking of survival and how could we cook the most food, and mostly it's like potatoes and flour and bread, with a protein, like people said. So definitely. Yeah, a carb with a protein. Yeah.
Thank you, Feather.
Thank you. And we asked what can we do to help families get enough food? There was comments of encouraging gardening within the community. That way people will have healthier options at home and food will be cheaper as well because it's right in your backyard. Sharing information about food resources and the local food system. So part of this was going door to door to share information and using our local radio station, which is K&B, and maybe setting up booths at the post offices in the community to share information about food resources, and having classes that encourage like budgeting and couponing involving the schools. So involving like White River Unified School District and Distribuco Community School and the private school that's also in our community. And then having some sort of program available for kids, that like a backpack program where they could go home on the weekend with a backpack that has healthier options that they could eat at home. Sharing food with community, and have a school garden. And then education for parents or head of households on how to cook healthy foods, having cooking demos, and expanding programs to help middle income families. So I know that's a lot. And as a committee, we have to think through, okay, what can we do with limited funding and making like the greatest impact in our region. And then what can we do to help people eat healthier? Again, the junk food tax was mentioned, sending people to Ndebikia because they do have farm and they have classes on gardening, and they even offer plowing land that people might have so that they could plant corn and other vegetables as well. Having someone from the Ndebi Health and Wellness Program to talk and give classes to families to encourage healthier eating as well. Bringing back local food, teaching ancestral food knowledge. Traditional food is healthier. And then having the Division of Health Education Program promote disease prevention, and doing giveaways like incentives for all that's proposing with classes. And I mentioned that as a committee, we did do strategic planning. After hearing what people said at the community meetings, we thought, okay, now we have all this information. What are we going to do now? And our goal of strategic planning was to come up with solutions to food access issues that were raised from the survey and the community meetings. We held discussions through 3 different phases. Those phases were understanding the context, agreeing on purpose and direction, and then moving from vision to action. And then from that, we went to, okay, what can we do now? What can we do next? And what can we do in the future? So our now was a few months ago. So we were able to hold a logo competition at the local Boys and Girls Club to get a logo for our committee. We created a Facebook page. So if you search at WMA Children Food Security, you'll be able to see our Facebook page. We also post different recipes on the Facebook page. So we have like wild tea, which will be available to pick in May. This is what a lot of people drink as opposed to regular tea. And then we have barbecue corn with beans and beef. We have chingoje, which is Apache Kool-Aid. So it's a sumac berry, and we can mix that with brown sugar or honey. And then barbecue corn, which will be available in the fall. And a lot of families barbecue it and then they dry it out. And that's able to serve families throughout the cold months to put in stews or snack on. And then we also thought we can not only do this, like share our Facebook page, we can also talk on the radio about food sovereignty and children food access. And then next, which we've been doing the last several months, was holding events with the school, like letting the school know the information that we've gathered and working with the schools to integrate our ideas. So we did have one event in December where we were able to go to CBQ and have a health event with healthy snacks, and we also included basket making with pipe cleaners. So we have burden baskets that we have in our community, and the kids really liked that. And then there was also another event on this past Friday at CBQ again, and the children were able to make little seed bombs and take those seed bombs home so they're able to plant them. And then also gathering pictures within our community that represents who we are and what we look like. And in the future, thinking about seasonal food fairs. So our tribe does, and Debbie Kia does hold a Apache food festival in the fall. So doing something like that, but including the youth and children within these, holding community barbecues, and then hire a nutritionist to get facts on acorn. We do have acorn as part of our Apache diet, so maybe getting facts on that, facts on Apache squash and other traditional foods, and then sending kids home from school with goodie bags and backpacks full of food. And then as a committee, keeping a lookout for grants that would be able to support the work that we're doing. Okay, and that's everything. That's where we're at right now with our committee. And again, we're all volunteers, and we're all represent different organizations. So coming into this was new for all of us, and learning about food insecurity and what does it look like within White Mountain Apache Tribe, and how could we address this in the future. And thank you. I don't know if there's any other questions, Erica.
Yeah, thank you so much, Feather. I have one question right now in the chat, and then a question myself. So we have, how has public reception outside of the reservation to learning and being able to participate in local and indigenous food systems, either through recipes or other community building projects?
Mm-hmm. I know, I don't know too much about what other tribal nations are doing, but I do hope that we get to learn more. I'm sorry, I don't know too much to answer that specific question.
That is okay. I had a small question. I wrote down so many, and every time I'd write down something, you'd answer it in your next slide. But I wanted to ask, if you didn't mention it, how long has the committee been established?
Mm-hmm. We got together in 2020. So this is when we were all working from home, all had to stay home. So I'm so thankful that we were even lucky enough to establish the committee, because we did it in the middle of the pandemic, and we met virtually. And we still do continue to meet virtually, but holding more events in the community. So it's been a journey, and and I'm always one that likes to see results happen quick. But this really has taken a lot of time, and I'm so thankful for it. And Tristan, if you're still here, I'm so thankful that Arizona Food Bank Network came and introduced this work to me, and then getting all of our partners together to continue it. And we have so much more to do. We have a lot of work to do still, but yeah.
And then I did want to ask, I guess, speaking of results that you said a second ago, are there plans, or has a second survey been sent out, like, since this work has been going on, to kind of compare if there's been an increase in food security as a result of the committee?
Mm-hmm. No, we're still in our take action phase, I think. Still building up on what can we do. And that should be a goal that we do in the next year or so, is to gather, okay, have we actually made an impact? Have we actually increased awareness about food insecurity, and are people actually doing what we've been sharing? So
we have a couple more questions in the chat so far. Does the committee help with education and entrepreneurship endeavors?
Not the committee itself, but we do try to share information of what the farm is doing, especially because Indebikia does encourage food markets and encouraging community members that do have their own little gardens and farms to participate in those food markets. So we just share what other organizations are doing.
Perfect. Thank you. And why is it so difficult for Indigenous tribes people to obtain food resources from their own land, or has there been progress?
I think there's been progress, especially in the last, I want to say 10 years, maybe a little more than 10 years. The farm in our community was established in 2000, I want to say 2011, 2012. So, and that was through the support of Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health, or now it's Centers for Indigenous Health, having that grant money available to encourage the farm opening up. And now the farm is its own entity now. It does still have grant supporting it, but they're doing so much. They have their own market there where they sell food, not only what's grown at the farm, but what from other tribes as well. So introducing that to the community, encouraging again people who are farmers at home to use what's available there. And I think it's just coming to light, like returning to our traditional food ways and why it's important, and we should go back to that. I think it's just becoming something that we need to do.
Definitely. And kind of staying on that topic a bit, do reservation farmers face the same issues as farmers off reservation, such as financial debt, crop restriction, etc.?
I know like finances in general in our community is low. So I think a lot of what people do is they plant corn, and part of to do that you have to have your own land. So requesting land from what is it, land placement within our tribe, to be able to have your own land to plant corn or fruits and vegetables. So not many people can say I have my own land to plant corn, because it is a process to do that and then get it approved by tribal council. Again, each tribe is different. So I'm only speaking specifically to White Mountain Apache Tribe. And then having maybe grandparents or the farm that has corn available to be able to plant this, because I know there's specific corn that we're able to plant in our region. We don't plant like sweet corn. It's specific to what we can use, what's known to the land.
Got it.
I'm sorry if this is answering your question or not.
Oh, I think you're definitely answering. There's so many. I have two more right now. So let's see, which areas do you guys have a good presence in? So the committee, I think, or maybe first things first as well. in general.
I think right now the committee's done a lot of work within CityQ. CityQ does have a community school that serves preschool all the way to 12th grade. And it is an hour away from White River, which is kind of like our main community. But driving out to CityQ and having that presence there with the children has been, we've seen been beneficial, because the kids, they just like meeting people and participating in anything that's offered to them. And in the future, we're hoping to hold events where their parent or grandma or auntie can come with them and learn too. So it's been mostly in CBQ.
Okay. One person asked, how do you sign up to volunteer with the nutrition education classes?
Yeah, you could reach out to myself. Let me share my email. So you can reach out to me, and we have Tristan who helps facilitate our committee, and our committee would be thankful if anyone who would like to help would be able to share their expertise and help us address children food insecurity in our community. Again, we all came into this not really knowing much, and have learned so much in the last few years, and we know that there's a lot more work that we can do. So you can reach out to me, and I can get us all connected with the committee.
Fantastic. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions right now. There are so many, and thank you so much for answering them. This has been a really, really wonderful, engaging presentation. I learned a lot and took a lot of notes. So,
I'll say thank you. Ashok Ahaya, which is thank you in our language. Thank you for having me present to this Tri-State Professional Development Series. I hope it was helpful. Again, we're learning so much, and we know we can do so much. And again, if you ever need to contact me, here's my information, and I love to hear from you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Feather. We really appreciate it, and we'll let you get back to your day, and everyone has your contact information if you want to reach out. So yeah, any last words, Georgia?
Yeah, thank you. I would just echo what Erica said. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. So much valuable information for sure. And I hope that the Vistas, whether they're in the FSI world or they're not, they're able to, take what you said, better understanding of the food necessity, especially early childhood, and the impact that it has, potentially lifelong. So that's huge. So thank you so much for that. The only announcement that I had was that our next meeting is going to be focused on DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And specifically, it's going to be the cultural building blocks of that. So like step one, it's going to be a really neat identity session, and just how to just interact and just be a better human. So that is scheduled for April 4th. These DEI sessions are fairly active in the session. So just come prepared to participate in that aspect. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. We will stay on if any of you have questions, but other than that, we'll see you next month. So thank you again, Feather.